Fact now, Pope Leo XIV has welcomed pilgrims of the Ukrainian Catholic Church to St. Peter's Basilica, offering powerful words of comfort and solidarity amidst the ongoing war in Ukraine. Walking alongside Major Archbishop Shevchuk, the Pope acknowledged the suffering of Ukraine's people, calling them martyred and questioning the senseless violence of the war. Let's listen into a part of his address.
Sorelle e fratelli, accogliendovi qui, desidero esprimere la mia vicinanza alla martoriata Ucraina, ai bambini, ai giovani, agli anziani e in modo particolare alle famiglie che piangono i propri cari. Condivido il vostro dolore per i prigionieri e le vittime di questa guerra insensata. Affido al Signore le vostre intenzioni, le vostre.
Well, during the emotional gathering, Pope Leo was presented with a Ukrainian flag and a book titled Chronicle of a Sacrilegious War. Popes across history have shaped the Church's voice on social issues through both words and action. From Pope Leo the 13th's defense of workers' rights in Rerum Novarum to Pope John Paul II's push for human rights and Pope Francis's global advocacy on justice and the environment, each pontiff has left a distinct moral legacy rooted in the Church's responsibility to stand with the vulnerable. Reuben Johnson is live with us on this big story, Director Asia Research Center at the Casimir Pulaski Foundation. He's live with us, in fact, from Warsaw, Poland. Reuben, how do you view this address by the Pope and his messaging on this occasion?
Well, I lived 21 years in Ukraine, and I saw the progress of the country over that time. And I almost died in the invasion. And I've seen what Russia has done to this country that represented absolutely no threat to Russia whatsoever. It did represent a threat to President Vladimir Putin because his people would look across the border and see that a former Soviet republic, which had a democratically elected government, was improving by the day, and that Russia was getting worse by the day. And it was a threat to him. It was a threat to his position, a threat to his rule, that his people would someday demand a similar type of governing apparatus. But what's been done to Ukraine is absolutely, it's beyond barbaric. There is a long piece in the New York Times today about what happens to different Ukrainian communities when they are attacked by these Shahid drones, which came from Iran and which are now produced in Russia. And I can only say that here in Poland, this is where John Paul II came from. You mentioned him. Here in Poland, we miss John Paul II because I'm quite confident if he was the Pope, his statements about Russia would be very strong, and he would be working night and day to try to do what he did to the communist regime in his time, which is to bring this government down. This current Russian government has no place in a civilized world.
Yes, Reuben, also, of course, you know, if we talk now about this gesture also of welcoming pilgrims of the Ukrainian Catholic Church there to the Vatican, what does it really say about the Pope's, outreach? Every Pope has tried to leave, their own imprint on a peace overture, or, of course, their own, sort of attempt to heal wounds. That's perhaps something that the Pope has attempted through this move, isn't it? Do you believe it's a very good move to have so many members of the Ukrainian Catholic Church at the Vatican?
I think it's a very good move to have so many members of the Ukrainian Catholic Church, and I can tell you that one of the largest Catholic churches in Kiev, which was right next door to the music school where my son used to learn piano, was heavily damaged by the Russians. I mean, it's one of those, I believe I'm correct when I say it's one of those UNESCO world landmarks. So the Pope, I believe, is reaching out in this manner because if you remember, he made a previous attempt, he made an offer at becoming a mediator of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And he was rejected by the Russians because they said, oh, it was inappropriate because he's Catholic and Russia and Ukraine are Orthodox Christian countries. And I found that an astounding, I mean, another example of how Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is just absolutely useless as a representative for his country now. But so I believe this is his way of trying to interject himself into the dialogue since Russia refuses to allow him to act as a mediator.
All right, Reuben Johnson, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective